Okay, everyone, another great session. We're so excited to be here with Candida Vajana. She's an award-winning International Nanny of the Year in 2017, newborn care specialist and nanny. Candy has traveled a variety of places and has a very varied career journey, and she has loved every minute of it. To anyone reading her CV, her career choices may seem a little disorganized or lacking in direction, but it has always been clear to Candy, however, that she was building upon her experiences and from the lessons she learned traveling and living overseas, living and connecting with other cultures around the world. And Candy is of the opinion that everyone has something to teach us. Candy has worked as a nanny looking after children as young as newborns all the way to teenagers. She has also worked in schools and in daycares. Every time I talk to Candy, she has so much information to give and so many strategies. So I hope you enjoy this. And Candy, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for participating in this session. The title of the session is Emotions, Big Feelings, Let's Discuss. And I would like the session to be as interactive as possible. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. We're going to talk about emotions and big feelings. We all have them, adults included. So how can we help young children deal with the feelings and emotions? So a little bit about me. I know we've had an introduction. My name is Candi. My last name is really hard to pronounce, so we can skip that. The globe-trotting, adventurous, child-adoring 2017 Nanny of the Year and founder of the Experienced Nanny. I have worked with children and babies for 30 years, and I've decided to hang up my diaper bag and bring my expertise and experience to families and nannies everywhere. During my career, I've come across many conflicting theories about how to support child development through the various stages. There's a lot of information out there for new parents and for nannies, and it can be overwhelming working out where to begin. So after 3 decades of research, experience and proven success, helping numerous families navigate almost every childcare related challenge under the sun, I can safely say that I've been there and done it with more children than most are responsible for in a single lifetime. So today I want to share with you my views and my experience and my knowledge that I've gained over the 30 years. I'm no expert. I don't have a PhD in feelings and emotions, but I've dealt with them for many, many years with many, many children. So the learning outcomes for today are, we're going to identify what emotions and feelings are. We're just going to distinguish between our feelings and our child's feelings. And we're going to understand the key concept of children's emotions. Since this is a short session and we could talk about emotions and feelings for hours and hours, please let me know if you have any questions or if you want me to move along a little bit faster. So what are emotions? According to ScienceDaily.com, emotions is the most general definition, is a neural impulse that moves an organism to action, prompting automatic reactive behaviors that have been adapted through evolution as a survival mechanism to meet a survival need. So what does this mean when we're talking about children? To me personally, emotions are the impulse that makes children react. So if a child is happy, they will smile or laugh. If they are angry, they will have a tantrum or shout or cry, etc. So emotions to me usually arise from situations we find ourselves in. Is everybody agreed on this, or does someone have a different definition for emotions? Okay, we're going to watch a video by Kids Want to Know, and it explains emotions to children. Before we watch the video, however, it is 6 minutes long. I would like you to think about some of the points they are making, and we can discuss them after the video.
Candi, you will need to make sure that your volume is working.
Is my volume not working?
You have a setting to make sure that you can share your own volume, and you have to make sure that that's working.
Okay. Is it working now? Can you hear it?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure what that is. However, we can move forward without it, and I can go through it. This video, which I suggest everybody should actually watch if they're working with children, it basically explains how the brain works, and the explanation of a brain in this video is awesome. It's very visual and it's easy to understand by children from preschool age all the way up to teens. They show a section of the boiling over explanation, which I feel is great. It shows how building the emotions build up within us, and then all of a sudden there's this explosion. And it also explains how children can go looking for an adult. And this point is very particular because I feel that we as adults should be always available to children so that they know they have a safe person and a safe space to go to if they do have feelings that are bubbling and about to erupt inside them. So we'll be revisiting the looking for an adult point later on in the presentation. The other point that the video actually makes is I statements and identifying their own feelings. If something can be taught, and this is something that can be taught from a very young age. So what can we do to help? So we said that our definition of emotions is they are an impulse that makes children react. So we need to think about ways to ensure that the child is able to experience emotions in a way that they can succeed. Now, when I say this, I don't mean that we need to create a perfect world for a child. I believe that children's feelings and emotions are things that children need to experience. But we need to set up their world in a way where they can experience in a safe way. From birth, babies learn about emotions. They learn to self-soothe. They learn to suck. Toddlers and the so-called terrible twos and terrible threes, this is when children learn to want, and they also have a feeling of needing power. This is a great time to talk to children about their emotions. An idea to help children learn about naming emotions is, this is a practical idea, is to take a piece of paper or a small blanket and hold it in front of your face. Then you can slowly lower it and reveal your face showing an emotion. And then the children will guess the emotion you are feeling, and then they show everyone their face with that same emotion. And it's a good starting point to talk about how each emotion makes them feel. When we talk to children, it's also important to know that children's emotion come during playtime as well. So playing with children and allowing them to play out their emotions is important. Children will also watch the adults around them. So if you are hot-tempered and shout and scream each time you're angry, you can't expect the child, your child, or the child in your care to be calm and collected if they're experiencing the same emotion. Talking about emotions to children, reading about emotions, and identifying emotions are all great ways to teach children that it's okay to discuss their emotions and learn how to regulate them. So children do need to feel safe in order to be able to talk about their emotions and learn to self-regulate. I would say that consistency plays an enormous part in children feeling safe. So what are feelings? We've spoken about emotions. Feelings are something that we feel from inside of ourselves. They're never there for very long. They keep on changing, and kids experience feelings just like adults do. They get frustrated, they get excited, they get nervous. However, young children don't usually have the vocabulary to talk about how they're feeling. Instead, they communicate their feelings in other ways. If a child is young and doesn't have the words, they will lash out. It's their way of telling you that something is happening. If a child is upset about something, they might not have the words to tell you why they're upset, but they will show you in their own way. So some of the feeling words that children will learn are happy, sad, angry, excited, afraid, shy, guilty, tired, jealous, loved, hopeful, bored, proud, sorry, embarrassed, and surprised. As you can see, some of those words we use every day around children. We might say, oh, I'm happy today, and did you have a good day at school? Were you happy? Did you feel afraid? But some words we don't use all the time. So for example, guilty is not a word that children might hear very often. So it's going to be really hard for them to express that feeling if they don't actually hear the words around them. So what can we do to develop children's emotional skills? First thing I would suggest is to tune in, and sometimes feelings can be hard to identify. So tune into your child's feelings by looking at their body language, listening to what they're saying, and observing their behavior. Figuring out what they feel and why means you can help them identify and express and manage those feelings better. Behind every behavior is a feeling. Try to understand the meaning and feelings behind your child's behavior. You can help your child find other ways to express that feeling once you know what is driving that behavior. Name the feelings. So I think this one's really important because you need to help your child name their feelings by giving them a label. Naming feelings is the first step in helping children learn to identify them. It allows children to develop an emotional vocabulary so they can talk about their feelings. Identify feelings in others. So we should provide lots of opportunities to identify feelings in other people. You might ask a child to reflect on what someone else may be feeling. So if you're watching a cartoon or you're reading a book, these are great ways to discuss feelings and help children learn how to recognize other people's feelings through facial expressions. Again, being a role model. Children learn about feelings and how to express them appropriately by watching others. So we can show children how our feelings affect us in different situations and how we deal with those feelings. When it's appropriate, I usually share if I'm upset or nervous or worried about something with my charges. And it helps them understand that feelings are normal, and it helps them learn to be empathetic at the same time. Encourage them with praise. So praising children when they talk about their feelings or they express them appropriately. It will show that feelings are normal and it's okay to talk about them, but it also reinforces the behavior so they're likely to repeat it. Listen to your child's feelings. Stay present and resist the urge to make your child's bad feelings go away. Support your child to identify and express their feelings so they are heard. And when feelings are minimized or dismissed, they will often be expressed in unhealthy ways. And this is where it's important for the adult to be the safe space for the child in order for them to be able to discuss their feeling, share how they're feeling. Sometimes children don't have the words to express how they feel, and they may act out those feelings in ways that are problematic. The children might hit or throw toys when they're angry and frustrated, and they might have a hard time settling down after they've had an exciting day. So use this as a learning opportunity to teach your child to express their feelings in a positive way. Teach your child to act on feelings by walking away and taking some time away from the issue, taking time to relax before trying again. And I also believe that setting up an environment so that children experience feeling in a controlled way can help children learn about how to deal with feelings. And again, I'm not suggesting that we protect them from negative feelings. I'm suggesting that it's important for children to learn about their feelings, to learn that it's normal to have them. And sometimes being able to set the scene before they experience the feelings may be helpful. For example, if you know a child will be given some bad news, setting the scene and controlling how the information is shared is helpful. A typical example would be when I was asked to tell my charge that I wouldn't be returning to work. I knew the information I would have to share would devastate my charge, but I controlled it as best as I could so that her emotions could be validated as she felt them. I feel that the following techniques are more beneficial for older children. So talking with a grown-up about what is happening and describing what they are feeling or certain reactions in their bodies. Younger children would not understand these techniques and would not have the language to express their emotions and feelings. There are benefits of learning about emotions and feelings. So teaching children about emotions takes a lot of patience and practice. You also need to remember to be kind to yourself while walking through this process, and remember that once taught, the children in your care will be better humans. There are many, many benefits to teaching children about emotions and feelings. One of them is promoting emotional intelligence, which we all need to have. Second one is reducing anxiety. It builds resilience, it develops coping skills, and it builds better relationships. One of the greatest benefits is that children can auto-regulate and that they feel stronger and emotionally grounded because they know what is happening to them and they're having an emotional day or they're having big feelings. My last charge was able to understand her emotions quite well by the age of 4, which I found to be remarkable. She would clearly articulate what she needed, and if she needed a hug or just some alone time, she would just say so. She had spent the first 2 years of her life not dealing with any emotions or feelings because she had someone protect her and do everything for her. So when I started taking care of her, I used a very different approach in her care. It was very loving, very open, clear, and there were very clear set boundaries. She quickly learned that feelings and emotions are things we experience, and we need to learn how to navigate them and how to best deal with them positively. My opinion is that we should be cheerleaders for children when they're problem solving. So, for example, one of the comments that you could make is, Emma, you calmed down and told Paul how you were feeling. Then you talked to Paul about how to solve a problem so you could both play with the blocks. You are both great problem solvers. Be specific when offering praise to children about their problem solving efforts. Helping children develop emotional understanding requires repeated and intentional practice. Adults support children's development when they help children identify, label, and talk about emotions, and when they support children's efforts around problem solving. So we need to distinguish our own feelings from those of our children. There is no right or wrong when we talk about feelings. So being a parent or a nanny of a young child is an intensely emotional experience. There's the pure pleasure of cuddling, nuzzling, playing, laughing, exploring, and delighting in your child's daily growth and discoveries. And then there are the challenges, the moments of stress, anger, frustration, and resentment, and not knowing what a baby's cry means and how to calm the baby, and the total irrational demands of toddlers, or the aggressive behavior of an older child towards anybody else. These experiences evoke strong feelings that can be hard to handle for the adults as much as the children. What is most important is that we remain in tune to our own feelings to make a conscious decision versus a knee-jerk reaction about how best to respond. We all have bad days, and we all let our emotions and feelings take the best of us at times. Maybe you got snippy with your child while speaking earlier and want to apologize. This is actually a wonderful teaching and bonding experience for the child. You could approach them by saying, "I'm sorry, I got upset earlier. I'm really sad that grandma isn't here today and I miss her a lot. I think that's why I was in a bad mood earlier. I hope you forgive me." And by doing this, you show the child several things. You acknowledge and respect their emotions. You accept responsibility for causing someone else pain. You also acknowledge and respect your emotions, and you know it's important to communicate your feelings, and they are all invaluable lessons for children to learn. So what are the key concepts of children's emotions? Preschoolers are learning about emotions all the time, and play gives them a chance to explore emotions and express them in different ways, including words. Play with you and other children also gives preschoolers the chance to practice managing their emotions. This is good for your child's self-regulation, behavior, and relationships. Ideas to encourage preschool emotions are playing with other children and to understand their feelings. And here are some play tips for you and your child. Give your child opportunities for messy play, like playing with sand, mud, or paint. This is a great way for children to express feelings like happiness or sadness. Look for imaginative and creative ways for your child to play. Your child could act out feelings with puppets or toys, or use old clothes for dress-up games and pretend play. For example, your preschooler could pretend to be kind and concerned, like a teacher or a doctor. I have, my mum gives me this example many, many times over the years. She told me that my sister and I, who are very close in age, attended a preschool where the teachers used to actually smack children. This was a very long time ago. And my sister and I never told my mum, but we acted it out during playtime with our dolls. And so my mum figured out there was something going on at school. And after a few weeks of investigating, she did find out that the teachers were smacking the children. So she removed us from the preschool. Take your child outside to play in a park or open area with space for running, tumbling, and rolling, and this can help children let out their emotions. Encourage your child to paint and draw as a way of expressing emotions. Painting and drawing can soothe and calm your child if you're frustrated or sad. Encourage your child to jump around and act out to music or make music with simple instruments. Give your child a chance to play with children of all ages and all abilities. By playing with other children, your child can learn how to understand and manage emotions. Read stories that feature characters who are experiencing similar situations and emotions as your child. This can help your child understand new emotions like grief about a pet's death or worry about starting school. Let your child lead play. Your child might find it easier to express feelings if they feel in charge. So, key concepts that we have looked at today. Emotions, they are the impulse that makes children react. Feelings, these are ever-changing. Your emotions, make sure you keep in mind that your emotions are valid, but your reactions should be calculated. And how you can help. Talking about emotions, labeling emotions and feelings, modeling expected behavior, play, and reading books. I've listed some movies that teach children about emotions, and I'm sure we can add more to the list. TV shows, I would suggest the Daniel Tiger series. As far as movies, Inside Out has to be the top movie about emotions. The different emotions are clearly identified and the basic functions of our brains are well presented. this story helps children understand how our perceptions affect the emotions we feel towards particular events of our lives, but it is geared towards older children. I found Shrek to be interesting because we learned through this movie that we should not judge people based on first impressions and put them aside because of what they seem to be. Opinions based on prejudice are often wrong, and therefore we need to learn to use our heart if we want to really know someone. Dumbo, which was a really old movie, and I know they've done the second movie. Children find out what makes them different from everyone else, and sometimes it can be one of the biggest assets. Mean jokes and comments should therefore be put aside, because in our differences lies a great gift. Finding Nemo. This movie sends its viewers a simple message. People with physical difference do not need constant protection. They have their own abilities, as important and useful as others. And once you get over your fears and difficulties, we can realize that we can achieve many things. While watching these movies, it's good to ask children questions. So again, how do you think Dumbo felt? What would you do if you were in Shrek's situation? Have you ever been in such a situation with your friends? How did it make you feel? These are great conversation starters. And I think when you have these conversations, you should be ready to share examples of your own life so that the children gain confidence and trust in you and the fact that you understand what they're going through. If you're reading books to children about emotions, ask children to identify how the characters feel. They don't have to be emotion books, but even in books like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, there are lots of opportunities to talk about emotions. Disappointed that they had to wait for the porridge to cool down, curious about what the bed feels like. So those are good starting points to talk about how the characters felt. There are lots of questions you could ask when reading books. How do you think the character's feeling? How would it make you feel if X happened? How would you do, what would you do if you were feeling that way? And some of the books that I love, I have In My Heart, A Book of Feelings. And this is a book that describes a range of emotions and how they make you feel physically. And it has very simple language, so it's easy for children to understand. Theo's Mood by Mariana Kukolefa. I love this book for exploring the complexity of emotions with young children and how Theo can possibly feel happy and sad and jealous and proud all at the same time. It's a good book to share when a baby joins the family. When I'm feeling books, these are great books because they explore a range of emotions: angry, jealous, kind, scared, lonely, loved. And they're a great resource for talking to children about emotions and feelings. If you would like a list of children's book that has great starting points, please send me an email at hello@theexperiencednanny.com. And we are at the end. So thank you for being with me. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. And I hope you enjoyed the session.